Well, thank you for joining me again for another episode in our long-running series, the Fliplogic Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Brian Kirk, and this is a one-hour Q&A format where I take your questions in the order that they're received, and we run for 1 hour or until all questions are exhausted. We use a screen share illustration in order to, if you've got a deal analysis question, question on, I don't know, a lead that you've got that you're looking at, maybe a deal you have under contract, maybe a deal that's ready to be assigned to a buyer or be marketed, whatever the case is. We'll look at it, we'll break it down for you, and make it a very easy to understand illustration on your question. So get them into the Q&A chat box, which is in the control panel, and I'll get to them in the order that they're received. And you guys will have to forgive me. I'm not trying to be too cool. It's just kind of, we're up here on the top deck today for the show, and it's a little bright, so I gotta use some sunglasses here. All right, and I do have to wrap the show a little early today. I've got another appointment that I've got to be at, and so I can only run until 7 o'clock Pacific Standard. Normally we'd run 7:30 Pacific Standard, 9:30 Eastern Standard, 10:30 Eastern Standard, or until all questions are exhausted, but just not the case today. So I know some people have been reaching out to me this week. William, he's got a lead that he wanted to cover. So William, if you are on, please share with me the lead that you wanted to look at, and we'll break it down. So William, if William's on the line, please give me your question or your lead address, and I'll break it down. So while I'm waiting for William to do that, if anybody else has any other questions in the meantime while we're waiting, please get those in, and I'll take a look at them. A couple of housekeeping items. We just released our new public records data, and we just released our new comparable sales data. We cover 99% of all the properties in the United States. So just by adding a lead and running the comps, you're going to get the public records on that particular property, and then you're going to be able to generate most of the comps that are comparable. Not every system may populate the top 10 that are most comparable, but sometimes they slip through the cracks, they slip through the coding cracks. So it's always good to compare against Redfin, Zillow, just to make sure. And then you can always copy paste the address of that comp that maybe you found, and then paste it right into these comps here in Fliplogic, and then it'll populate all the data on that comparable property. And then when you move to the marketing, to go to send out a marketing blast to your buyers, you've got that now for added support in your marketing email, and your CMA, and your pro forma for your ARV. So, yep, Steve just asked on those technical issues. So yeah, so those have just been pushed live. So if you haven't added a lead and ran it yet, go ahead and do that, and you'll be able to see it there in action. There's a few other little improvements that we're making to it, but so you may see like minor bugs that pop up, but know that the engineers, they're already on that and doing it. So but yes, you can add a lead and run with it and make it work. So we're all good there. You've got everything at your fingertips that you need, to do a deal and make a deal work. I know I was just underwriting a few deals that I've got in the works as well. So, I didn't have any issues with that. So, Antoine says, I have a lead that I would like to role play on. Sure. Go ahead and throw it in the box there. Okay, so again, and I apologize, guys, I'm not trying to be too cool with sunglasses. It's just that it's pretty bright up here today, so I need to use them. All right. So Antoine's got a lead. Let me see if Antoine's already got it. Antoine, is your lead already in the system, or does it need to be added? I may be able to answer that question myself. So it looks like it was already added. So it's already in here. So it's a property in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So we can see that you've got data in here already. It last sold in 2014 for $10,500. And if I want to go ahead and run the comps on it, you already have done that. It's 1,179 square feet. So I didn't see that here in the property details here in your existing square footage. So I'm going to make sure that's in there. I don't know why that wasn't in there, but it's in there now. So if I look at your comps, I can see you've got an ARV of 27,500. I can see you've got a few comps selected. So that's all well and fine. You've got 3 over there. I wonder if there's any. I don't know when the last time you ran this. I'm just gonna see if I can refresh and run this one more time. Okay. So I'm going to rerun your comps here, and it was able to find one good comparable. And let's see. And since this was, and it didn't populate any of this information. So what I'm also going to do is, so this property sold for, it's 647 Izzard Street. And typically what you could do is just click that link, and it's going to give you like a Zillow page of that property. Obviously, since they just did this push, that link is broken probably until, for the next 48 hours. So I'm just going to pull it up here myself. So I can see that this comp sold for $132,500. It's a 3-2, 1,000 square feet. And our subject property is a 1-1, right? It's a 1-1, 1,100 square feet. So, and I apologize. One other thing I had the engineers do is if it's an existing lead already in the system, for us to be able to refetch the public data. So then that way, we don't have any errors. It's a 2-1. So it's a 2-1, 1,200 square feet. So we don't have any errors like in, I don't want to repull comps. Like this data should have populated here, but we know that this is a 3-2, 1,000 square feet. I'm just curious, and it's built in 1945, 7,400 square feet. So it is it's a 3, to, and it was 1,008 square feet. And it was like on a 6362 square foot lot built in 1945. So that's a pretty great comp. And it just sold March 7th, 2019 for 132,000. So that's a great comp. And the days on market, let's see, how quickly did this thing turn? And this thing turned, let's see, I wanted to look at the price history on it. Because it looks like it was a rehab. Price tax history, come on. Even Zillow is having an issue right at the moment. Let's see, it should just populate. I should be able to see what that is. I don't know. Zillow is having an error. What I can do is I can actually just click on it here, and I should be able to get the public data just by clicking on it here within Fliplogic. So I'll go to the price sales history. Oh, wait, I already knew. Okay. So it's just, we only have that it was, we can't see what the prior sale was. So we don't know what that is. But we do know it was a rehab, or at least it's in its highest and best condition from the photos we just saw. So that's a pretty good, you know, we're a 2-1, that's a 3-2. We're larger. Somebody could convert our 2-1 into a 3-2 if they so desired. So while it's not an exact comp, it could be made to be that way. It would be nice to see what some other 2-1s in the area are selling for, but somebody came in here and rehabbed this. So actually what I'm gonna do is, I wonder if there's any other comps here in the neighborhood that are maybe a 2-1. It's updating within the last 12 months. So while it's doing that, I'm going to say for our analysis, while we're still going to figure out the ARV, I mean, we're probably going to be somewhere around, I would say 132,500 would be a good ARV for it if somebody wants to go in there and spend the money and convert it to add a bathroom and carve out a third bedroom. So probably to carve out a third bedroom, add a bathroom, and change it from a 2-1 to a 3-2, they can get to 132,500. They're not going to have to add on square footage because we already have more square footage than that comp. So if we just said, if somebody's going to come in there and reconfigure the floor plan, knock out a wall, add a bathroom, you know, do what they need to do in order to reconfigure it. I'm just going to call it $40 a foot, and $40 a foot for $40 a foot. And if you're asking, well, Ryan, why $40 a foot? That's really just a guesstimate. I think we would probably need, that might be a little bit shy. You know, let's call it $50 a foot. So let's say somebody's going to come in and spend $60,000 to do that at $50 a foot. We'll leave the hold time at 4 months. We'll leave the leverage at 80% of the purchase and repair costs. We'll leave the interest rate at 10%. And now we're going to have to come up with this price here in order to do that. Before I go any further, I'm just going to look back at Zillow here, zoom in, and just see. This one sold for 123. What is this? This is a 3.2, and we don't have any data on how many square feet it is. So we don't know. But we do know that sold for 123. So that's actually another good comp. It's a 3.2. So I'm going to take that copy. I'm curious what the price history looks like. Okay, price history. Somebody bought it for 58.5 in 04, and then they just resold it for, it was a rental for 15 years, and they resold it for 123. But I can still use that as a good comparable sale to support my ARV. So I'm going to go back to my comps. I'm going to hit add property. I'm going to paste the address. I'm going to click on the drop down. It's going to populate the property details as far as what's available, and then I'm going to click the box here so it's included in my comparable sales, right? So it's a pretty good comp. And everything, this 275, that's a 2,600 square feet. That's so much larger. It's a 2,800 square feet. We're going to need to look at that. That's a 1,400. I don't know if these were like kind of fixers when they sold. This one's on your same subject street. And this may be like rental grade. It may not, you know, the ones that are selling in the 123, 132. That's, no, this one looks remodeled to me. So this one looks like it's in good shape. I don't know if somebody, let's look at the price history. Renovated. So it's a smaller lot. It's a much smaller lot. That's a 3,000 square foot lot. So sold. Sold, and now it's being listed for rent. So it looks like to me, somebody came in here. I just don't know when this was remodeled. It could have just been recent, and then somebody, you know, they're going to rent it out now. So, and you got the smaller lot size. So I would say, you know, this 130, 123, we've got another 150 here. This is 140. This is a 2,1900 square feet. This is a great comp too. Sold for 139.9. That's probably a great comp. That looks to be within a mile. You're going to almost pass a year on your last sales date on that. So it's not going to be a comp for long. But your lot size on this too is 9,500 square feet. So yeah, that lot size is making a big difference. So I'm going to add this one as a comp, and then you've got pretty good support here. For 139, 132, and this is a 2.1. That's pretty good. I don't know how much that neighborhood maybe changes from here to here. I mean, it's pretty close. It's within, I mean, it's within, I mean, it's well within a mile. I mean, it says it's only 1,500 feet away as the crow flies. So let's give ourselves, I'm going to say, based off these two, let's call this one, let's call it 130. And then for my analysis, wouldn't you want another 2-1 comp around the same size that's more recent in order to justify that 139, right? Imagine you were going to come in and rehab this deal. This 900 square feet sold for 139.9, right? 140, man, that's awesome. That feels pretty good. But these 2 other 3 2s that are more recent sales, I would want another 2-1 comp to be sure, because these obviously should have sold for more than 140, being that they're a superior product, right? A 3-2 versus a 2-1. So, I would say we're, if we're going to, I'd almost say you got to change it to a 3-2, spend the money, change it to a 3-2 to get to 130. I mean, if you're going to underwrite it based off the most recent sales, or else we'd need to find another 2-1. Does that make sense? So this is how I'm going to leave the underwriting: 130 for the ARV. I'm going to say 60,000 or $50 a foot if we're going to, add a bedroom, add a bathroom, and reconfigure, do a full remodel and reconfigure the floor plan. So with that being said, now we need to come up with a net number that's going to make sense. If you were going to sell this, let's see, if we were going to sell this at a max rehab, let's go for a max rehab price. Obviously, the underwriting here needs to be closer to like 30%, because you're going to want to buy the most you're going to want to pay at this ARV price point in this neighborhood. You're going to want to be at about 52,000, offer 43 for your max 52, and then you're going to want to sell this thing, since it's such a heavy rehab. Even like even a $40,000 profit, that's a 30% ROI. You'd have to sell it at 57,000. Sell it at 57,000. Wait, I need to fix our ARV here. So 130. At 130, we're going $50 a foot for our repair costs. It's 60,000. Man, I don't know. We're gonna have to maybe pick that apart a little bit more. But if I'm gonna reset this number, let me see what's going on here. So if we're gonna underwrite this to be, see, the numbers are a little different when we get to these lower ARVs. And this is actually telling us 56% of the ARV minus repairs, putting us at 37,000. So we definitely don't want to be there. We'd want this number to be higher than that. Let's see. Our system is underwriting this. It's defaulting it too conservatively. This max cash offer is good. 65% of the ARV is great. But yeah, you're going to need to sell it probably around 60,000. Antoine, let me ask you a question. Do you have an asking price from the seller? Have they given you a price? Well, that's their bottom number. So if I look here, let's see, further away, sold quite some time ago. Also, when you click on scripts for the subject property on online or any of my leads, may have answered this, but this is the holdup on my end. Basically, just trying to figure out the back end stuff out. After learning this, I'll be all right. Scroll down to the questionnaire, please. So Antoine, you're gonna have to let me know. I mean, yes, you can go to the scripts here in the lead, and now you've got, you know, a seller script for cold calling a for sale by owner, or a seller script for cold calling an off-market property. So those are scripts that can help you. And it even, you know, has populated your name in here and gives you an opening line and some questions that you can ask. But that's basically what you're going to want to do is, you know, call the seller and let them know, hey, you're interested, but you need some more information on it. And let's see here. So I've underwritten 130 in here for our ARV. And then here, just for our analysis, I'm hoping that maybe we can even, you know, instead of spending $50 a foot, we can spend $40 a foot in this market. And then, you know, it's telling you right here for your initial and your max. But yeah, we've definitely got this, the underwriting on our max rehab price. This is too conservative, and actually I have to have engineering change the algorithm here, because once you get below about a 250,000 ARV, you instead of offering like 83% of ARV minus repairs for that would be like your exit price for your max rehab. If you're wholesaling it, you know, that's about as much as a rehabber would want to pay. Once you get below the 250,000 ARV, you're closer to 70% of ARV minus repairs is what a rehabber is going to want to buy that. So that's why you can see for your initial and your max, you're going to want to be closer to a 60% of ARV minus repairs and 65% for your max. And you're going to want to sell it around 70%, which would generate, you know, not a 60% ROI. This would be closer to like 30%, which would put this, your max rehab price, you'd be closer to 40,000. So you'd really want to see if you can get this under contract for, you know, 30 to 35 and sell it closer to 40. And the only other thing I could suggest would be to add a few more comps to really narrow down if a rehabber would want to convert this from a 2-1 to a 3-2, or if they're just going to want to keep it as a 2-1. Let's see. I hope that helps. Let me see here. Let me go back to our questions. Let's see. William says he's tagged me in a. Hey, William, we're not going to have enough. This is our last lead. This is going to be the only one I'm going to be able to go over this evening, because I got to wrap our call in about 1 minute here. Antoine says, looking at the average sales price in the area, 31,000. Would you agree that's a fair price? I'm estimating the rehab will be about 10%. I think he's copy and pasting like a closing script here, what to say. Antoine, I'm not sure. I see you copy and pasted some of the script of what to say. Yes, those are like closing questions of what you can use to just as you said, to move forward with the seller. So yeah, that's all in the script. Yes. Yep, and you can see, yeah, the stuff populates. Yeah, once you set your numbers in your analysis, it populates in the script too, so it can help you with, you know, breaking it down logically with the seller. You know, hey, you know, what's your asking price? Because sometimes if they're too high, then you can let them know, well, okay, hey, I just want to be as open and honest and transparent with you as possible. Here's what I'm looking at. You know, and in this case, you know, fixers, it looks like are selling in the area for whatever that is. The comps there in the area are all over the place, as you can tell. I mean, you've got everything selling from, you know, the 20s and 30s, and some of this stuff doesn't have any data here in Zillow anyway, and higher. So I think you're going to want to call the seller and see. I mean, you even have a 2-1 here that's 1,200 square feet. That's basically what we're at, and it sold for 65,000. I bet this is probably, it looks like rental grade. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not, you know, it just looks like rental grade stuff. So people that are fixing and flipping, they're buying, again, like based off our numbers. If they're going to put the money into it, you know, 40, 50 bucks a foot, to get it up to retail for a single family as a retail flip, right? Not as a rental, but to get it up to the 130 ARV, if they're going to put in 40 bucks a foot. And in this case, the reason why we're going, you know, 40 bucks a foot, as opposed to like, you know, even in my Southern California market, like a median priced home, if you're going to do a full rehab plus a new roof, you're looking at like 33 bucks a foot, 35 bucks a foot. But when you're talking about adding a bathroom, right, knocking out some walls, reconfiguring the floor plan, you know, you're going to be spending, you know, more money. So that's why I was thinking, well, maybe you're going to be at like 40 or 45 bucks a foot to get it there. And based on that, you know, you've got to pick this up. I would start at 23.5, you know, come up to 30, and then you're going to want to sell this thing. You know, you're going to want to sell this thing close to, it looks like you're going to want to sell it close to, I'm just putting the ROI in here so I can get a better sense. And again, this thing's underwriting too conservatively, but I think probably, I'm just looking at the comps there too, but if you sold it at 40, they're going to net 22,000. And if you wanted to see how that broke down, you can go to actions, generate profit analysis, and if you wanted to include that in the documents folder, you can click yes, but I'm just going to open this up so we can see it. So So you can see how this breaks down. If someone were to buy it at 40 and put in 54,000, they're at a total of $94,000, $94,400. They got some financing costs. And they're going to sell it at 130 after all their holding and carrying costs. They're going to make a 20% ROI, in 4 months, right? $22,000 on the project, 62,000 annualized. And if they're leveraging, with the financing that we put in there, then they're making, 257,000 cash on, or 257% cash on cash. That's annualized, right? 85% cash on cash over the project. Obviously, very awesome returns. So the numbers, there's a profit there, and the numbers make sense. So I would say, you could probably sell it in the 40s, and you need to buy it below that. And the only reason why I'm just a little hesitant is because I'd want to look a little bit more into some of these other comps too. Here's a 3.2, 1,200 square feet sold for 127, right? Here's a 3.1, 900 sold for 122. Here's a 3.1. So that's why I'm saying when I look at some of these, like another 3.2, 1,200 square feet, I wouldn't want to try to sell a 2.1, 1,200 square feet for 140 based off that one comp when I'm seeing, more recent comps here. When did this sell? All right, that's an older comp, sold in August. So that 2.1 that sold for 2.1, 900 that sold for 140. I mean, it's an outlier. You'd have to dig into it and understand it more as to why. But an investor is not he's gonna be more conservative, and he's gonna play towards, they may have got 140 for that, but overall 3.2s, look, you've got some 3.2, you've got some comps over here too that I would look into as well. But maybe that neighborhood changes, versus this neighborhood right in here. I don't know on this other side of the park, or maybe these are on the park, but you'd have to see. But I can tell just from those two comps that we put in here, it seems like, if we're going to stick to, so those other comps were on the other side of that park over there. I don't know and that's close. I mean, it really is. It's like within half a mile, but I just don't know how much that neighborhood changes. You just want to be able to really bank on these comps. I mean, these are recent comps, and they're right there. So I'd say those are some of your two best comps. They're just those are 3.2s, right? Same size, just a 3.2. So I would just underwrite it like how we've got it, where if we were going to reverse engineer based off those 3.2s, probably got to spend $45 a foot, right, to get it there. And so if we do that, an investor is probably going to want it, again, probably close to 40, right? So you're going to want to try to get it closer to 20 or 30. And then just make sure when you make your offer that you get it under contract with, let's just say, a 10-day inspection period and a 30-day closing. So then that way you have time to market the property to the local cash buyers there, get them over there to walk it. They're going to come up with their budget, and then they're going to tell you, hey, it's a go. We want it at 40, or, they're going to tell you it's too thin. We need it at 35. If we can agree to 35, we've got a deal. And so if they say that, then, 35, obviously, if you have it at 20, that's a 15,000 margin. If you got it at 30, it's a $5,000 margin. But then it also gives you the opportunity to call the seller back and say, hey, listen, going over our budget, we're ready to move forward, remove all contingencies and close. But, we need the price $5,000 less to do that, and then we're ready to move forward. So I hope that helps. That is all I've got. But to answer your underwriting question on that, there's algorithms built in, but sometimes on these low ARVs, sometimes just make sure that the numbers make sense on the max rehab price. These make sense. I had to adjust the max rehab price on this one for some reason. So I never see it glitch over 250, sometimes under 250. Sometimes I've seen it glitch like that. So let me know if that happens again. If I see that again, we got to let engineering know about that so they can go in there and correct whatever that is. But at least you've got the numbers there in front of you. You can jump on it today, make an offer today, call the seller today, let them know that that you're interested, you'd like to make an offer, you'd like to move forward, put it under contract, open up escrow, and if you guys can agree upon 20,000, you're ready to move forward. You come up to 25, again, come up to 30, and then again, that's what your inspection period is for, so that you can have time to do due diligence with your investor, so your investor can get out to the property, do his due diligence. And then if you need to adjust the price or cancel, you still can with no harm, no foul. Obviously, you want to create a path forward. You don't want to cancel. So I hope that helps. That is our time for this evening, because I've got to run. Let me just make sure I didn't leave anybody hanging. Okay, so that's good. So Antoine's clear on that. Steven says thanks. Cool, guys. Well, enjoy the new data. Go in there. Just make sure when you add a new lead, it'll populate. I'm going to have him add a new button under the actions so you can fetch new public records, because on your existing leads, obviously, if it's already in there, you need the ability to generate the new public record data so you can generate new comps. So you can probably generate comps, but it's probably going to be another day or two for him to generate new public records. But you can add new leads, and you shouldn't have any issues. So awesome. Looking forward to working with you guys on your deals. Take care. God bless. And you all have a great evening, great week. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, everybody.